Welcome everybody to another episode of Two Brothers, Same Mother. Of course, it's Sheik. We got AJ right there as well. And so the 2020 season is officially done. We got a chance to watch the Super Bowl. And the Tampa Bay Bucks were the only ones that showed up. I mean, the Chiefs ain't show up, the refs ain't show up, the weekend ain't show up.
It was one of the most boring Super Bowls ever. One thing that showed up was Patrick Mahomes' legs. Jesus Christ.
So I heard a stat that he ran, and you can correct me because I don't have the exact stat, but it was a shade under 500 yards yesterday.
Yeah, it was around 500 yards.
Yep. Yeah, it was like 493 or something like that. Trying to avoid sacks, and that's just a damn shame. I'm curious about something though, because I got the impression that first and foremost, before I go into anything else about criticizing anything, whether it's the refs or game plan, would you agree that if that roster and the way that it's constructed, the players that played, so whoever's injured is injured and what have you, that the Bucks are winning that game 10 out of 10 times?
Yeah. If everything is the way it was yesterday, 10 out of 10.
Right. So, that the D-line just whooped up on the O-line. There was just no way. You know what I mean?
Right.
But with that being said, Patrick Mahomes had 50 passes. 48 of them, Andy Reid only had 5 people blocking, no tight end, no running back up in the block. Do you think that that's just Andy being Andy, or that everything that was going on in his life, unfortunately, with his son and all that, affected his coaching?
No, absolutely not. That's just Andy being Andy. Doug was the same way. The failure to adjust to your personnel. And it's not like, other than the one, I think one of the backups actually got hurt in the game. They had to bring another person, but for the most part, they knew coming into that game they were going to have 3 backups. And against that D line, you had over a week, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like they played last Sunday and then this adjustment happened. So they had over the week, and I was very disappointed that not just Andy, that Eric Bieniemy himself, neither one of them came up with a game plan for the shorter passing game and to get the ball out of Mahomes' hands faster. To do that, to open up the things deep, it was kind of, once again, like we saw it this year with the Eagles. It was, regardless of who's in there, it's status quo. This is our offense. This is what we do. And to me, I don't think that really, you know what I mean? So,
the Tampa Bay Bucks are the number 1 rush defense. However, Edwards-Helaire, I don't know how he finished the game. I didn't look at the final stats, so But at one point in the game, was averaging close to 8 yards a carry, and
that's because they ran on a passing down here and there.
We're not talking about in the fourth quarter. We talk about early third.
Yeah, to rely on that run game, no, because that wouldn't.
So you were cool with the fact that they only ran the ball maybe 10 times? And I'm not saying that as a criticism.
They had to keep up. No, they had to keep up. And that's why, once again, they weren't built run heavy. Regardless of Helaire having these crazy stats, it doesn't mean that he would have had 20 carries for 160 yards. You know what I'm saying? It would have just – the Chiefs are a pass-first offense. They're a deep pass offense. Shorten your routes, get the ball out quicker. That was basically the adjustment. You add in a run here and there, but don't completely become a run first thing. You're still dealing with 3 backup offensive line against, in my opinion, the second best defensive line behind Washington in the NFL.
So your fix, if you were going to, let's say, hey, halftime, would be to, and correct me, because I'm just, shorten the pass routes. It's obvious that they're doing this too deep. They're not going to let Tyreek Hill run down the field and catch anything. Kind of shorten the pass routes, maybe do like some, maybe, would you go into like the screen game? Like what would be your adjustment?
First of all, I wouldn't wait until half. I would have came into the game with that.
Yeah, I mean, you were on the coaching staff. They called you up and had you come into the locker room at halftime. So that's what I'm saying.
Nah, yeah, like, but once again, that's something you have to start the game off with. You can't just be like, all right, this is what we're going to do. Because remember, they're going to adjust too. So make them adjust to you. So if you started the game with the short passing game, quick passes, slants, no out screen game, tight end screens, the little shovel pass, almost go into the red zone offense down the field. The quicker bang bang. You get what I'm saying? And when you do that, guess what? Now at the halftime, now we go into our regular offense because guess what? Now everybody's playing up closer to the line of scrimmage. Now you can run a sluggo. Now you can run out and up. You know what I mean? Because they think that you're going to be doing a short pass again, and then you open it. Now they don't know where you're going to do because now you're the goal is offensively play calling is be at least two steps ahead of what the defense is doing.
Now on the defensive side of things, it looked like the Chiefs' first couple drives they were good, and then there was a couple calls that were close but went against them. And I'm not. This is just the way I'm viewing it as a fan. Couple calls went against them that were close, and it seemed like the Chiefs lost all edge whatsoever, and then got their ass kicked the rest of the game.
Yes and no. I would say the first couple. So the first couple of penalties in the secondary were kind of warranted. Like they were like all hands, like you know what I mean, mugging them and stuff. And first, so whoever the defensive back coach and that was teaching them that shit, like you're not. So then what ended up happening was is just like any other ref, which is stupid. To try to calm it down, they started throwing penalties on the most minor weak shit. You get what I'm saying? Um, so, but as a defensive, Spags still should have been like, "Yo, play your game," because what's going on in secondary, or if they call that, has nothing to do with how you attack the line of scrimmage. Nothing to do with how you attack the line of scrimmage, and they were just getting dominated in the trenches on both sides. I understand the Bucks defense dominating on the because of the backups and the situation with the Chiefs offensive line, but the way that defensive line was getting manhandled by the Bucks offensive line, that had nothing to do with penalties. That was just they were not built for that. They were not built to take that type of physical, and the Bucks wanted it more. Bottom line.
So, and I'm just curious to get into a coach's mind, because there was a statement during the game, right after the half, and I forget who the sideline reporter was, but I think it might have been was it Lisa Salters? I'm not sure, but she said that Spags had mentioned, "Hey, we got to play our game. Don't worry about the refs. Don't worry about anything else. Just play your game." And that very next Bucks drive, I mean, the line just kicked their ass. When you see your team just straight up take an ass kicking on a drive like that, and that's what it was. It was a straight up smash mouth. We didn't do anything special, and then there was that one play where it was obvious it was like an option route, and everybody on the Chiefs kind of seemed a little confused. Where was it? Gronk was just running up the middle, like wide open for like a 20-yard gain. Leonard Fournette is just boom, boom, boom. Like, what do you tell your defense after they have a drive where they get their ass kicked to try to get them to get their mind right?
You just get them fired up, man. Just keep telling them, man, just play your game. Don't worry about that shit. You know what I mean? Man up. You know what I'm saying? We're here for a reason. But at the end of the day, man, there's just sometimes it's just not your day, man. And when the only person I feel on that Chiefs defense that actually came to play was Tyrann Mathieu.
Now we got to get into the Eagles talk, and the whole thing of what I like to call, so why did we fire Doug again? Because the whole idea was that supposedly we were firing Doug, or at least I should say some reports, because he wanted to go with Jalen Hurts. So the whole thought of this coaching search and firing Doug from a lot of minds was that it was to rebuild Carson.
Mm-hmm.
Now we find out a Carson trade is imminent, to the point where we have an idea if some teams are involved and all that. So I will start with you just to kind of as a way of recapping a little bit. Yo, why do you think this team got rid of Doug Peterson if the team has given up on Carson as well?
Well, first of all, the team isn't giving up on Carson. Carson gave up on the Eagles. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two is they had planned on, like everybody throws that out there, but we had planned on retaining Doug. Doug, once again, did not want to be a part of the Eagles. Now, so either he sabotaged that with some outrageous promotions that he was going to do, and they were just that because Carson had a very, very small part in why they were going to retain, why Doug got fired. Had a very small part in that. I believe it's one of the reasons why Deuce didn't get hired, but I mean, the main reason Deuce didn't get hired is because he didn't want to go with Carson. But the main reason that Doug got fired, i.e., whether people say some people reports are saying he did on purpose, some reports were saying he had enough and this is who he wanted and he was going to stand his ground. Either way, it was stupid because he was going to promote Press Taylor. He wanted to promote the defensive line coach, the defensive coordinator, and do all this, and it just wasn't going to work. So that whole concept of it was Doug or Carson, that's a non-factor. That's not even anything to.
There's been a lot of talks about trades and stuff. The report is, well, I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk about they're supposedly the front runners of the Bears and the Colts, and there's a dark horse team that might be involved as well, which if you follow sports for a long period of time, usually there is a dark horse team or something, and that could be very real. Prime example, the Phillies when they got Cliff Lee. It just seemed like it came out of nowhere. But specifically with the Bears, there's been some specific kind of trades thrown out there. So one that you shared with me was that there was a possibility of the Eagles getting Nick Foles, Roquan Smith, the linebacker for the Bears, and a pick. If that happened, I'd be over the moon ecstatic. I think Roquan Smith is probably one of the top 10 most underrated players in the league. There was another report about the Eagles getting Nick Foles, Tyreek Cohen, and a pick. I'm a big fan of Tyreek Cohen. Would love that too, even if he was coming off an injury. And then, there's been reports that the Colts are interested too, but they offered, 2 second-round picks, and the Eagles are trying to get a price up.
They're trying to get 2 first rounds. So
right.
The most recent one I've seen with the Bears was the Bears would get Carson Wentz and the Eagles 2021 second-round pick, and the Eagles would get the Bears' first-round pick this year, their first-round pick next year, Nick Foles, and Tyreek Cohen. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I don't think they'll get that much for it. I think that's more the Eagles trying to drive the price. But there has been rumors to where the Eagles, there's been different things of where the Eagles, even with the Colts, would be giving up. Like I think there was one with the Colts. It was like player named. Eagles would get the Colts first round pick this year, and then the Colts would get Carson Wentz and the Eagles like third round pick next year. Or so, you know what I mean? So
well,
I think the Eagles have to give up Wentz and a pick, but I don't think they're going to give up their first round pick.
Well, there has been reports from a few people, your Ian Rappaports of the world, that the Eagles are asking for a Matthew Stafford-like package.
Yes.
And they're asking for it knowing they're not going to get it. But the package that they're going to get is not going to be that far off. Now, what that far off is, I don't know. So I feel like they could get at least one first-round pick out of it, depending on,
I think the
Um,
Eagles will end up getting like a first round pick, and I think a first round pick and a player, and maybe even like a second or third round next year or something.
I mean, to be honest, if we ended up with a first Foles and Cohen, which remember, okay, like take off the green goggles. Nick Foles only has value in Philadelphia and maybe Kansas City at this point, you know,
And as a backup, he would just be a backup.
and as a backup, Tyreek Cohen is coming off of a major injury. And last year, there was a struggle last year. They had some O-line issues and stuff too. So you're getting kind of one guy that you're the only one that values, so to speak, and another guy that's a bit of damaged goods plus a first round pick. So it could be doable. I don't
I
know,
did
man.
hear one. Sorry, I did hear one today that the Colts, like you said, the second round picks, but then the Colts were asking for Carson Wentz and the Eagles' second round pick this year, and then they would give Philly. I forget the young linebacker's name that they have.
Darius Leonard?
I'm not sure his name
I say
on the top.
Well, it can't be Darius
Number
Leonard. Darius
number.
Leonard was like defensive player of the year. If it was
No,
Darius
no,
Leonard, yes, now, right now.
no. It was like number 58 or something like that. He was like he was a decent linebacker. He wasn't the linebacker, but he was supposedly a good linebacker. It was one of them. I just kind of scrolled through it, and then it was just like, and Eagles would get the Colts first round pick.
Bobby Okereke? I don't know who that is.
Yeah. So I don't know who the dark horse team that you heard, but I heard the dark horse team was probably Denver.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because the last thing I want to talk about the Eagles is this dark horse team. Now there could be a few teams. I've heard that it's Denver. I've also heard that it's New England because New England believes, hey, listen, we had 8 starters that opted out. If they come back and we get a quarterback and that, listen, Bill Belichick ain't playing no games with Carson Wentz. So if he ends up there, he's going to get in line or he's going to be such damaged goods that nobody's really going to want to touch him as a starter or possibly even a backup.
Right.
There have been some talks, and I'm just going to stop looking at the Colts thing. But there's been talks of a few teams. So I've heard Denver, New England, San Fran possibly. The extreme long shot would be Washington football team. And then the one that you have brought up before is that Mike Mayock and John Gruden are very interested if, in fact, they could find a third team to take Carr.
Mm-hmm.
And
now,
so
I've heard that like probability is like right behind Denver.
Right. There is one more. It's a very, very minor report, but it came from a local guy in Minnesota that the Vikings have started to make some preliminary calls to see if someone would be willing to take Kirk Cousins because they think they would have a better shot with Carson Wentz than they would with Kirk Cousins. Once again, that's down there with the Washington type deal.
Keep your eye on this too. There's been rumors today that could possibly hurt the Eagles. There's been rumors today that the Jets have started. They haven't. They're not the ones that put it out, but they have been receiving calls for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, that's actually been happening for a few days now, and that doesn't surprise me. I mean, Sam Darnold's a young quarterback that on a very, very bad team, and he showed some good signs, some bad signs. Listen, has he had a year like Wentz had, or like that Goff had, where he took them to the Super Bowl, regardless of how you feel about Goff? No, but is he better than the Mitch Trubisky's of the world? Yeah, I feel that.
I don't know. I think if Mitch Trubisky was actually, I blame a lot, kind of like what I blame. I think Trubisky was almost in the same position as Darnold, as supposedly having this offensive minded coach that was supposed to be able to develop him, and they haven't been able to, as in, i.e., Adam Gase in Darnold's fault. And I think Nagy is the issue, was more the issue with Trubisky just not developing him enough.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you two questions. I'll start with the first one. If you could rank, and it's crazy that you could actually come up with five dark horse teams from most likely to least likely that would try to make a trade for Wentz. Give me an order.
Now, is this excluding
Excluding Bears and Colts. This is dark horse.
excluding Bears and Colts in order of probability?
Yeah. In your mind, obviously, this is not reporters or anything, just in your mind.
Yeah. Denver, Vegas, Carolina, New England, and San Fran.
See, I have a feeling that I don't know why I don't see Denver making that move. Then again, because I've never heard John Elway and the people in Denver really loving Wentz, but that doesn't mean they don't. To me, New England would be number one. I think that they would be able. It just team giving up or a team making a player who has shown promise in the past, that has a lot of talent but had some baggage being available, seems just like a Bill Belichick move, right? The only reason why New England definitely ain't giving up that draft capital. If New England could get them for a third, then yeah, absolutely. But as far as interest in saying, I would think it'd be New England and Vegas. Then I would say Denver, Carolina, San Fran.
See, my thing. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
But as I say that, I feel that Denver probably has more pieces to maneuver with than Vegas or New England does.
Not just that, I see. Who I actually see going, who I think would actually be in New England's crosshairs is Trubisky.
Well, there's a rumor that Denver, if they cannot get a veteran, would have Drew Lock and Trubisky on the squad and kind of battle it out. As Trubisky being that,
right.
Hey, he's a veteran, but still young enough to be a starter to kind of push him.
I just feel that with 8 starters, listen, I'm not a New England fan, but with 13 players opted out, 8 of which being starters, on top of the injuries that they had Cam Newton playing quarterback. He only threw 8 touchdowns on the year, and they still finished 7-9. With 2 teams in the same division that actually one made a playoff and the other team was battling for a playoff, so it's not like the AFC East of the old, right? So Miami, who was actually a decent team, they were 1 game out of the playoffs, and Buffalo was making that push. So I think if they get these guys back and then be somewhat healthy and actually get a person that actually knows how to play quarterback somewhat in Trubisky on the cheap, I think that.
See, I don't know if they're a little scarred from a guy, but the Cam Newton experiment with, I personally think New England would rather get somebody that fits a little more of their mold, in the sense of maybe they would try to see if they can get Jimmy G back, or Wentz seems to kind of fit their mold a little more than Trubisky, in my opinion.
No, I'm not saying the mold, but like you said, they know they got a lot to build. You can get Trubisky a lot more cheaper than you can get Wentz or Garoppolo. And that's what I was saying, because I know I have this guy that I work with who's a huge New England fan, and he's saying that to talk in New England, because he does what I do. Right. I listen to radio.com and iHeartRadio to listen to those. He listens to the New England thing. And he's saying that they're talking about getting maybe Jimmy G if they could, because he already knows the system. Or, and this is, I'm not gonna lie, I stole his shit, which is Trubisky, which not as far as a future thing, because they're looking, if he's on the board in the first round, drafting, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name, but the quarterback from Alabama.
Matt Jones,
because they're looking at him, and they know it's going to take like a year or 2 for him to actually.
That would be an interesting possibility. Honestly, man, it wouldn't happen. I feel like Bill Belichick and Sam Darnold would be a good fit. If somebody was going to get the most out of Sam Darnold, and I feel like Belichick would be able to do it. But that's just me.
Right.
So we are supposed to hear about this Wentz news before we end up doing the show again next week. When it does break,
as early as Wednesday.
right? I mean, obviously when it does break, we're gonna be on our Facebook page, Two Brothers Same Mother, talking about it, and we'll bring it to you. But man, it's interesting. We've never seen an NFL where there was this many quarterbacks on the move and this many quarterbacks retiring in one year.
It's like an NBA offseason, honestly.
Right. I am going to start. Obviously, we have some draft news and stuff like that to start looking at as well. As far as Philadelphia sports in your lifetime, okay. So we'll stick with, or even a little before your lifetime. So we'll start from like 75 to now, okay. Best draft pick in Philadelphia sports.
In Philly sports altogether?
Yeah, so not just the Eagles. Yeah, interesting, right?
I don't like talking about shit that I actually really wasn't a part of, to where I actually have vivid, memories. So, and off the top of my head, I can't think of what year Mike Schmidt was drafted.
Mike Schmidt was before, that was like early 70s. So,
well, I know he was around when I played, because I remember watching them play, and I remember Mike Schmidt being on the field.
Yeah, but Mike Schmidt was like, when I say that, I mean, so they got drafted in 1980 or beyond. Okay, so Schmidt
Right.
there.
No, Smitty was already there. Ooh.
Right. It's because you got a lot of things that you can look at. So, regardless of how you feel, Donovan McNabb is the greatest quarterback in Eagles history. You also got people like Brian Dawkins. But hey, you got Ryan Howard and Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins. You also had with the Sixers with Joel Embiid and Charles Barkley and Allen Iverson. Even the Flyers, although there was a trade that technically the Flyers did draft Lindros, it was kind of a sign and trade thing, or some of the other draft picks that they have right now going on, like Carter Hart or whatnot. So there's a lot to pick from. I mean, to me, go ahead.
I have a 1A and 1B, and that's Dawkins and Iverson, because not just because of their play on the field, they epitomize what Philadelphia was about.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go with Iverson. Dawkins would be my number 2, and honestly, Jimmy Rollins is my number 3. I know a lot of people think Chase Utley was the heart and soul of that team, but Chase Utley was super quiet. Jimmy Rollins kind of brought that swagger.
I'll be honest with you, man. Out of the big 3 of that group, Jimmy Rollins was my least favorite.
They play 162 games, and the guy didn't run out like 3 ground balls in his whole career.
No, I just feel that he was kind of a dickhead. I just did. I just felt he was a loudmouth, and I like guys that talk shit. But I just felt he was a loudmouth dickhead. He just rubbed me the wrong way.
That's fine. I mean, Jimmy Rollins backed up just about everything he said. So,
No, I know. I wasn't saying he was bad. It's not about him.
And that's fine. There's people that rub me the wrong way. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, until this season, Joel Embiid rubbed me the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Until this year, oh my God, yo, I was like thinking that dude's gonna be such a waste of fucking talent. But he matured. He had, him having a son really, really matured him. So, yeah, hey, man, good job, 2-1. You know what I mean? For real, seriously.
Yeah, right. Super Bowl halftime show. Okay. If you could pick somebody who is still living, okay, so this isn't, you can't say the Beatles, to perform at Super Bowl halftime, okay? If you're going to put together a Super Bowl halftime show, it doesn't just have to be one act, but it has to be in those 20-25 minutes. What would be your Super Bowl halftime show?
Jay-Z with Metallica.
Jay-Z and Metallica never performed, though. I don't even know how that would work.
Jay-Z performed with Linkin Park.
That Linkin Park, though, had hip-hop roots. I
Yeah,
mean,
I was. You asked how I could do it. They could make it work.
action mine, my nigga. What's my
Hey,
motherfucking name? Sandman. No, that's
yes.
honestly though, I like where you're going. My thing would be hip hop is now so kind of universally accepted, especially 80s, 90s, and early 2000s.
Hmm.
I would love to see like a hip hop all-star show. And when I say that, I mean like to go from some of the late 80s people, you're like LL Cool J, Jay-Z, you got Drake to represent the current guys, but I feel
So
you
almost like an evolution of hip hop halftime show.
right. But
Well, that would kind of be dope. That would kind of be dope.
I think it would be cool to be able to see like, all right, you have like a late 80s, like I said, LL to me would be that guy that is still relevant from the late 80s that everybody knows. You know what I'm saying? And that I know can still go performance wise. He doesn't rub people the wrong way like a KRS-One. You know, it's not like, Run DMC where, we love him, but obviously Jay-Z performing, he's Jay-Z, you know. But you could also have Outkast representing the South. And you could also have like Snoop, and if Dr. Dre was healthy enough. You could also have Eminem, like you could have, and they could do one or two songs and it's kind of just boom, 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 boom. And I think it'd be dope because it's
Definitely,
so
yeah, that would
accepted
definitely
now.
be dope.
You know,
Especially, or if you wanted to go with like something almost lyrical, you could go like the '80s. You could go with Rakim, and into the '90s with Nas, into the 2000s
right.
with J. Cole or somebody.
Right,
You know what I mean?
and I think that would be cool. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
but I would want it to be done right because if the show is
Oh,
just 15 minutes of Little Wayne and Little Baby, The Baby, and New Baby,
yeah,
and
little Uzi Vert with the diamond in his head.
I don't know what's up with that. It's a shame
Anyway,
that he was from Philly at one point. Um, but I just gotta look at my notes here. Oh, if you're going to buy a Philly sports jersey of a current player, who would it be?
a Philly sports jersey of a current player
That you don't currently own?
that I don't okay, that I don't currently own.
Which honestly, I don't know if you own many jerseys of current players.
No, but there's not too many that I would actually own.
Right.
Because like the teams, they flip flop so much nowadays. You know what I mean?
And I'll tell you mine because mine's is outside the box. I'd buy me a Carter Hart jersey, Philadelphia Flyers, the goalie. I really
Yeah,
like him.
yeah. Well, it's funny. So last year, everybody was wondering why is Elliott still on the team, and uh, Carter Hart was the toast of the town, right, for the Flyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
This year, Carter Hart's struggling, and then Elliott's actually playing pretty well. So, I random just
You know what's so
thought.
funny when you said people were wondering why Elliott's on the team? I literally thought you were talking about Jake Elliott, the kicker for the Eagles, and I was like, where is he
No,
going with this?
no. Elliott, the goaltender.
Yeah.
Um,
Brian Elliott.
no shit.
Now,
I
just a
have him.
reminder, you have a regular jersey, you have a Miles Sanders jersey, you have a Joel Embiid jersey.
Oh God, what the fuck is his name?
That's not a good start.
No, the catcher.
JT Realmuto?
Yes, I would get Riamuto jersey.
JT. All right.
Because
Yeah,
I have, like you said, I have some of the early mainstays. I have a couple older Eagles. I have a couple Sixers, and then I even have the $300 million man,
Bryce Harper.
Harper,
Yeah.
Bryce Harper jersey. So
Yeah, I actually have two Bryce Harper jerseys. I will say this though. What's curious is if things go well, and I'm not one to kind of jump on the jersey train and just buy jerseys all willy-nilly, but I'm really really liking Jalen Hurts. And if he has a good season next year, I might consider about getting a Hurts jersey.
Yeah. I think my next jersey would either be a Hurts, or it depends on if we get a stud linebacker. I'm not even talking about 'cause Micah Parsons' stock is dropping bad.
Mm-hmm.
But if we got like a stud linebacker, like in the second round or third round, and he actually started lighting it up, like I'll probably buy his jersey. It's been a long time since I've gotten an Eagles linebacker jersey.
The last draft pick jersey I got was McNabb. I got his jersey before he played a game with the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
You know, actually, I think that might be the first jersey I bought with my own money. To be honest,
Really?
yeah. No. I take that back. The first jersey I bought with my own money. This is far right goes. Was Charlie Gardner. They had a Charlie Gardner jersey on sale for like $25.
Oh shit.
So I'm wearing a Phillies jersey. In about 2 weeks, pitchers and catchers report for spring training, February 16th, actually, so it's next week. The trucks left today from Philly to drive down to Florida. Name me something that you celebrate in sports that is not a game, or that you look forward to. I always look forward to pitchers and catchers, even though it's just like, hey, spring's around the corner.
Oh man, that's easy. Opening of NFL free agency.
There you go. Okay.
I love that. I actually love that almost as much as I do opening weekend. I get excited for that, and it has even though the Eagles normally aren't big players in it, I just love to see like where teams are going, and then the excitement's in the air because like everybody just starts talking like, oh yo, this dude we're here, yo, that's crazy. I just really enjoy that.
And finally, the final question: you're way too early Super Bowl prediction for next year.
Oh shit! That gave me indigestion just thinking about that. Shit! Way too early Super Bowl prediction. Holy cow! For the love of God, I'll have to ride with Kansas City again. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. Buffalo and no. I almost said Green Bay, but Aaron Rodgers may not be back with them next year. Man, you caught me off guard with this one.
Yeah.
I definitely think Buffalo. I don't think the Rams gonna be that. Buffalo and Seattle. Fuck it.
I don't know why. I'm smelling next year is going to be a wacky, kooky season. If you remember, the last Super Bowl that the Ravens were in was kind of kooky. No one saw the Ravens and Niners making it to the Super Bowl. People thought that
I don't know. Not the Ravens.
Nobody was predicting the Niners to make the playoffs.
Man, I don't know. The way Kaepernick was playing that year, they went on that run.
Remember, Kaepernick didn't start the year.
No, but I'll say as the season went on.
Sure, I'm talking about the beginning of the year.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like the Ravens nor the Niners were considered to be favorites to go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's what I mean. I feel like this is going to be a year though where you're going to see two teams that ain't been to the Super Bowl in a while that are going to make it. And so I'm going real wacky, real kooky. Browns Cardinals. I think that Seattle's going to have a down year. I think that the Packers are going to be the Packers. I don't see the Bucs making it back. And I just think that the Cardinals are going to be one of the few teams that actually have had consistency 3 years in a row. And there's going to be some fluke stuff that happens. And I don't think Cleveland's that far away. I don't think the gap between Cleveland and Buffalo is that big. I do think the gap between Kansas City and everybody else is that big, but I have a feeling at least next year that Tampa Bay really gave them the blueprint of what to do.
But did they? Injuries? Oh, against their defense. Yeah.
Yeah,
But you gotta have those. You gotta have the weapons to be able to do that too.
Right, but you think about it, and people forget, like Cleveland, if they get a decent tight end, they got 2 premier wide receivers, 2 other wide receivers that aren't that bad, 2 really good running backs, and a host of an offensive line.
Yeah, I'm just still not. I mean, Baker's okay. I just don't put him in the caliber of Josh Allen.
But last year, Josh Allen was okay.
That is true.
You never know. And so it's kind of a fun pick. I don't want to say Packers, Chiefs,
Yeah. Nah, I just don't think Green Bay, I don't even know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. That's why I said Buffalo, like, I was looking at teams get ready to take, and I think Seattle's going to regroup a little bit, and like I said, you caught me off guard with that, but I definitely think Buffalo's going to be that next team. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I hope so, man. I feel like I do feel like next year it kind of started this year, but we're really going to see the change in the card.
Or, I hate to say it because they in division. Yo, the WFT gets a quarterback, they could be a problem.
Honestly, I think WFT and the Giants are both going to be way improved, but they both depend on a QB.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think that the Cowboys. I just don't think.
The rumors they're getting ready to franchise tag Dak again.
Yeah, well, I forget what Mike McCarthy. I just don't think he's a good coach. I never thought he was a good coach. And whereas I do believe Ron Rivera is a very good coach, I do think Joe Judge is trying to build something with the Giants. So but some closing thoughts as we close the show. One, I kind of hope that someone does reach out. Maybe not Jay-Z Metallica, but I would like to see a Metallica halftime show. I think that'd be pretty cool. Just random.
Real quick, I mean, we haven't even discussed the draft at all.
No, it's because it's the Super Bowl show. It's right after the Super Bowl. But going into the
honestly,
draft,
I just wanted that Super Bowl to be over with so I could just focus mainly on the Eagles in the draft, to be honest with you.
Do you have a feeling that Hurts could be the guy?
Whether he is the guy or not, it looks like he's going to have to be.
Well, I mean, beyond for 16 games. Like, I have the feeling that he could. I'm not saying he is, but he could be the guy. Because everything that they talk about with him, if all that's true, that he's always in the coach's room to the point where they thought they were going to have to give him a cot. Like the fact that he listens to people and all. Now, granted, they say that about everybody, but if he's really that dude, I think that even if he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, he might be able to do some things with him.
I think you can. Everybody's screaming about an offensive line. I've broke it down before. If Kelsey comes back for one more year, you have 9 offensive linemen.
Yeah, you got a lot of depth at the offensive line, I think.
Yeah.
First time.
And honestly, even if you get one late in like 5th round or whatever, I wouldn't mind. You have a stalwart at running back. You definitely need to get another complimentary back to him. You do need a receiver. So, and that's just on the offensive side.
But do you think that, with that being said, even if, let's say, let's for argument's sake, Eagles only win 6 games, but Hurts performs well. Even though you might be missing some of those pieces, do you think that hey, we should be married to this guy, unless if he just
No,
bombs.
I definitely think we could. I think it's going to be a down year, no matter who our quarterback is next year. But I definitely think you might as well give it a shot, man. I've seen some things.
Well, it can't be any more down than this year, hopefully.
Right. I seen some. I saw some good. I saw some bad. Right. And and at times he looked like, wow, we can really do some things with this kid. At times he was like, ooh, now I know why he was in the second round. Right.
Right.
But I don't think he's terrible. Um, I think he could be. I think he could be like you said. If he works on his craft the way they said he does, I think he could be a Kyler Murray esque, Russell Wilson esque type player. Listen, man, if he has a quarter or a third of the career that Russell Wilson has had, he's going to be a success. So.
And one final thing, and next week it's going to be all about the draft, and hopefully this trade will be done as well, so that we have a better idea of how many picks we are working with. But assuming now that you have the sixth pick in the draft and a draft pick in the mid-20s, what would be the two positions that you're going after with those two picks? Because we obviously don't know how the board's going to fall, but you have a better idea of what you might have at the sixth pick at like 23rd.
If I were drafting and Patrick Surtain there's at 6, I'm grabbing Patrick Surtain at 6. And then I'm grabbing the running back from Alabama with the 23rd pick, if the pick is 23rd.
Really? See, my thought would be to get your wide receiver, assuming that Chase or DeAndre is available, or Devontae, I'm sorry. And then grab your corner, and let's say if JC Horn's available in the mid-20s, or that's where you get your linebacker. Because I don't know I feel like this is where the difference, and this is I brought it up. I'm thinking more need, and I feel you're thinking more talent. Like we have, even if your most pressing need is wide receiver, it's not like we don't have a need at corner. And Patrick Surtain it seems like less of a missed prospect than.
No, I'm not looking at talent. I'm looking at need because of how the type of offense I would build around Hurts.
Go on. What do you?
Because if you got two stalwarts at the corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now your defense, you had a top 5 defensive line. Now you got two certified corners that can create turnovers at the corner to give your ball to offense. And on top of that, you're not going to drop back Hurts 50 times. So you're going to lean on the run game a little bit more. So now, and your tight ends. So you're going to need 2 running backs.
Well, and this is where the interesting thing of the trade comes in, because if obviously the trade happens and we have Miles Sanders and Tyreek Cohen, I don't know if we're drafting a running back in first round at that point.
And you know what, though? Honestly, even though I like Tyreek Cohen, I would prefer another bigger back. So
sure, yeah.
And I don't think he would be a lot of money. I mean, we don't have any really to spend. But honestly, deep down, unless Tampa Bay is going to re-sign him, I would love to have Leonard Fournette and Miles Sanders as the 1 and 2. Like, you know,
I think Fournette's going to cost. I think Fournette brought his price up. I think Fournette.
Yeah, he did. I was just saying. I mean, he's not going to cost you like damn near Zeke money or McCaffrey money, but he's going to cost something. But I was just using him as an example. I think, because if you bring in Tyreek Cohen, in my opinion, if you bring in Tyreek Cohen, you're not bringing Boston Scott back.
Right. And I mean, and I mentioned this a few shows ago. Like, I think we'd be in the market for like a Mark Ingram type back.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Mark Ingram. Only reason I was just saying, because if you're going with the youth movement, you might as well
go with a young guy.
Go get you a young boy. But like what you just said, if you get because me personally, out of the 3 top wide receivers, that everybody's talking about. I would prefer Jamar Chase. Um, so, and that's not a knock on the other two at all. If we
Who's
end
the?
up with any of those three, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I agree with you. Either the Alabama receivers or Chase. Although I would prefer we don't draft someone that's coming off a major injury. If the
I
other,
mean, but he did play in the, which was stupid that they put him out there, but he did play some in the national championship game.
right,
So,
right. But I think it's gonna be interesting. So I wanted to kind of do this kind of NFL wrap up and some stuff here next week. And in the coming weeks, it's gonna be all about the NFL draft, people. We all going, hopefully we'll know all the picks that we have for this year. We'll have a better idea of who exactly is retiring and whatnot around the league. And maybe we'll talk a little free agency. We're not going to be big players there, I don't think. So it's not going to be big on us, but still interested to know who might do some things. For example, what the Jets are going to do with all that cap space, or who might sign a quarterback off the scrap heap and try to make them something that they haven't been their whole career. I.e., there's been rumors that there's been a couple teams that might be interested in making Marcus Mariota their starter.
mm.
I don't know
real
why, but
right, real quick, there is the only free agent rumor I've really heard, and it's because once this Wentz stuff gets sorted out, that probably the next person to get traded off would be Ertz, and that's because they're trying to free up money so this way they can sign and bring back Trey Burton, which I would not mind having. Number one reason, that means we're not going to draft a tight end at number 6.
yeah,
Right?
that's
And number 2, I like Trey Burton, and I think him and Goddard would be a really good 1 and 2, and they're young.
nothing against Kyle Pitts. I unless if you fell for some reason to the second round, I do not want to see you in the Eagles uniform. And if once again, if for some reason the Eagles bump their head and they try to trade up to draft a QB, it's not going to be a good time on the show.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
man, listen, that's our show. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Nah, man, I'm just finally looking forward to just talking about the all season stuff and be done with the 2020 season and all that. That's behind us. Fuck 2020.
Absolutely. So, look, man, looking forward to the future. We'll see y'all next week. Don't forget, go on our Facebook page. Check out all the stuff we're going to be putting up there. We're trying to be your main source for Eagle stuff and just sports in general and just have a little fun. So, have a great week. Don't forget your sweethearts for Valentine's Day this week, too. Don't be in a doghouse, AJ. And
been married too long and to be doing that shit.
and yo, talk to y'all next week. Peace out.